Again, it doesn't matter what the Egyptians thought. It is my explanation of what Ra is. So they could have been all pagans. It wouldn't matter. Ra to me is God. He is the source, the creator of the sun. Just like in the Bible, Malachi 4, the sun of righteousness. I am not a pagan. I believe in the true source of the sun, God, and the sun is God's most brilliant declaration in nature, other than his son on earth, of course, who conveys his spirit and the idea more masterfully. Book 1. Remember, it is the idea and not the words, not the paper. Start or end here. Language barriers are pure evil. Ra, the light of Ra. No truth exists outside of the masculine spirit warrior, light temple order. If you do not apply this selflessly, discard this book and anything else that is outside of it, it is useless. The body needs a mind and soul coordination and combination to harmonize with nature's supernatural spirit. The top martial artist marshals the spirit, and man is a technological beast or animal without him. Obviously, I am the last. Okay, on earth, it ends with me. Okay, and man will be a beast, beta run ninnies. No matter how strong they are, no matter how masculine they seem, they will be betas. It is moral courage, moral will, moral determination, moral precision, and focused moral intensity, and all these moral words and martial art principles, moral discipline, and so on, that makes a man a man. There will be no men after I die, just little boys following beta cowards as betas. The top martial artist marshals the spirit, and man is a technological beast or animal without him. There is no God in man without order. Without man honoring the true order, the top martial artist is basically like a god surrounded by beasts because of the contrast. He is not God. He is like a god surrounded by beasts if they do not obey him. Obey God through him. Okay, that's what that part means. Without man honoring the true order, the top martial artist is like a god surrounded by beasts. With a little g, mind you. God is not just love, but the center of an order of love. Martial arts can only be pure sun, spirit, light without concessions and consideration of man's feelings and relations, his selfishness. Considering grammar and corporate-derived social norms would be cruel, evil cowardice. God knows no democracy, and man has no spiritual power without Pharaoh's raw generation. Only shallow, worldly, and selfish Luciferian energy. So without me raising a son and naming a successor, he's only a Luciferian beta. Psychology and technology declare war on God in this way. Man is better off raped forever than outside of the Logos, which is the divine martial art order. And I've gone over in the beginning, the video before this, the prelude, why the Bible proves my point right. David and Goliath, read that part in Samuel, and also Jesus saying he's the root and offspring of David. He's continuing that warrior spirit. And in Exodus 18:3 says the Lord thy God is a warrior, and so on and so forth. Page 2. Sun versus cowardice with poetry. They're trying to cover their cowardice with poetry. Civilization came from the martial arts order, a warrior order of studying the sun spirit. Without this order, humans are just animals. The mind working with just the body is an animal mind. The mind thinking it knows better than the top martial artist, even trained in martial arts, is a dark mind. The top martial artist is defined by light tempo, light contact sparring with no cheating, no drugs, technology, etc. He will stop at nothing good to make himself known and give others a fair chance to compete. Mankind is not missing the innate idea of morality, but the true scale, which is only found with the top martial artist. He uses his cultivation of heart, courage, discipline, truth, righteousness, faith, mind, body, soul, and spirit, among other things, to see with his spiritual eye. Even in the Bible, truth is on the loin girt, symbolizing reproduction with the most righteous man possible. Corporations investing in Eurasian cults and non-light, non-sun temple, intense truths kill the intense, pure, honest passion of love. Book 3 of 7. Soul, grace, mind, body. Hawk, leopard martial arts. Falcon as the core, as the true falcon, the true symbol of hovering above this worldly evil and moving toward the source of the sun, the source of God's communication, God himself. During my time, the bloodline of God was expressed in Igbos through the sky god sun worship, Chukwu vision, and leopard Ra war tactics hidden in the martial arts of Eri, watered down by wrestling and wrestlers' reproduction. In Egypt, it may have been Ethiopian or Sudanese heavy. They must have migrated to Biafra in the Old Kingdom enough to reproduce in truth there and perhaps nowhere else. Bob Marley, the clandestine societies, and the slave traders must have put it together as well. Rastafari being a play on words used among the part Igbos he was around in Jamaica. Ra, staff, Eri. Ras of Eri. The T being the plus suggesting to add or something being added, the feminine suffix. The idea was a mystic and occult twist of manifesting the ship's manifest destiny. The rosette as a leopard's pattern for the Rosetta Stone is important as well. Consider Amen-Ra as the cult and idea of hiding the Ra and Thebes having a Greek counterpart. 4 of 7. Honor is not image or reputation. Legit, a mate, legitimate. Heirs, hairs, hurry, haru, era, and no life. Nigeria was like the forging of a samurai sword. The Biafrans were the warlike material, being densely populated, Biafra compacted by the greatest warriors. And they were folded and refined with the wisest people and purest religion, the purest focus on focused moral intensity. Eri was the spirit of characteristics, Eri was the spirit or characteristics of God coming down to make a cult center at Aguleri. Okay, a goal, a ra, a goal, ear, I. I am the end of God's covenant with man, and this is what I see coming soon. Warriors and kings in Europe would leave a child of theirs with a new ally as a deep sign and deal maker. Focus, concentration, natural reproduction, breeding with the most worthy, with truth and the truest to God, and hope end with the top martial artist's lack of a worthy wife. Wives and love making legitimize a royal line for God when continuing the ancient Egyptian royal line, which science will never verify to man, since the scientists are puppets for the devil. Okay, think Genesis 41:45, the Potiphera and Joseph. Order allows for life in the spirit, and my order allowed me to triumph over all other martial artists ever known. Even dogs protect their master. How much lower than dogs are people who know better, who should be beaten with many blows that failed to obey me. You cannot protect me if you do not obey me. And that is what God would say to them. I am God's son. If you want to honor God, you must obey God through me and protect me as such, in this manner. Honor is a keen sense of ethical conduct, purity, and integrity. Purity. No ulterior motives. No putting the nation, race, or family first. 5 of 7. Pharaoh, the face of God. Not citizens. Beast and be east. Okay, representing the Eastern philosophy of complacency through pacifism and removing oneself from the conflict. This is a spiritual war. One must face their enemies, especially when one considers the time frame. Urgency. Urgency. Emergency. Emergency. Again, the wordplay is not needed. The idea is there. This is an emergency. If your wife is dying and she needs to be taken to the emergency room, do you go and meditate or do you take her there? And so it is with the sickness in the human race. Obedience is a determinant, and it is trueness of voice that is sought in death as the creation of an honest life. God will never have his rightful place with man or the individual if Pharaoh does not have his rightful place. The proclivity or natural tendency to rise up for Pharaoh is the same as rising up to die for God. We breed monsters whose lives are less than brilliant, vipers, when we breed outside the divine order, which is the falcon, son of the leopard order, symbolically, and with the appropriate martial art lessons with the pure moral code applied. The spirit of the light temple bond in a family isn't just greater than the flesh, it is your entrance into heaven. The Creator must be given his obeisance through your creation with reproduction of spirit. Religion and mating are the most important parts of life. You are dead to God without him. Pharaoh is his messenger, and in a world of selfish jealousy, fueled violence, he must be the top martial artist. Obligation, objective, oblige, obi, Nairobi, oba, the Kuro obi, black belt, obedience, obeisance, observe, obi as king, heart, hut, and temple, the essence of a culture, the center of a culture, the continuity, the vital ingredient, the stone that is needed, the foundation, the cornerstone, the tip of the pyramid, the capstone. It must be the continuity, the root and the offspring of the warrior spirit that David is superimposed on in the story being Bible, imperfect. They must be refined by a warrior and not compiled by betas and retold by betas, but compiled and conveyed by a warrior and retold by a true warrior. And I am the last worthy one in the world, and I rule this time and time again on behalf of God. You can, however, beg to go to heaven with me, but you can't overrule me on this point. Only if the whole world obeys, or enough of the world, can this point be over. Can I change my mind? Only God can overrule me, and only I can say that that is being overruled. No one else. So again, obligation, objective, observe, oblige, obedience, obeisance, obtain, obelisk, obvious, obverse, obscure, and Ebo, being obi backwards, are connected. It takes a fool to miss this. A fool. Especially if they're a martial artist. You know. I can go on and on about why that is, but I'm running out of time. Page 6. God's cub Eri, a latter. Is Ra El or is Ja El? Obviously, Ra is El. It is a masculine idea. Ja is the moon associated with the feminine, and with the two eyes of Horus, it is where the masculine, the man and woman meet. Where the man and woman meet to bring in a child in this world is not God. God is where the top martial artist, and God is the source of where the top martial artist connects to him, and this idea is conveyed through the sun, where man's up and connects to God. He made that clear in mind, body, soul, and warrior prowess of the man. And which man, obviously, the line that I come through. The other lines that they're trying to superimpose and put before mine are the snake lines, seeking to snake God himself and his son. No excuse for that kind of cowardice and kind of immaturity and patheticness and materialism and selfishness and so on. Well, moving on. God's cut Eri a ladder. Jacob Eri. Ra cub Eri. Is Ra El. Ra Day. Okay. Mild and apathetic sheep. Again, Potiphera. Right, the priestess of On, Ra's cult center. Genesis 41:45. There's no avoiding this argument and these principles and this idea. You're a coward if you do. You're a fool. You're going straight to hell if you pretend to know better than me and you preach as such. You cover this up as well. You share the fate of the fools, the most despised of God. Deities and ideas. A warrior is not meek, and I disagree with Matthew 5:5 as it is commonly interpreted. You are not to be meek in terms of letting the state tell you what to do. Only in terms of letting me tell you what to do on behalf of God, as God is conveyed through me alone. Matthew 5 describes an ideal Christian in a way that makes it hard to follow the orders in Matthew 10. Meek seems to mean gentle or soft when put into its Greek literary context of the time. Writing is a spell that always slows one down to stone speed, and like chemicals, it can turn one into stone. I had to write simply because of persecution, an example of God lost without the divine order and Pharaoh on top. There is no spirit in these words. The spirit is only found in the spoken word by a true Pharaoh. Interference throws him off, including the science of putting words and thoughts, stimulation, and mind control. But obviously these ideas are sound. Go ahead and put it in the comments if you disagree. They're sound. Okay. I've gone over it many times. The sheep is a helpless beast without the hawk, or rather the falcon, and the brood of vipers, pack of wolves, hippos, chemists, etc. make this sheep a helpless beast. Okay. Identify Pharaoh, sheep when poor in spirit, mourning, hungry, and thirsty for righteousness, merciful, pure in heart, peacemakers, persecuted, insulted, and lied about are empty vessels. So if they fail to identify Pharaoh, they're empty vessels. Anyway. Almost that time. I got to shoot through this. Okay, so it said, darkness in other religions. Peacemaker and civilian are antonyms for the word warrior. In Egypt, the best known, in this context, right? Any of the peace of God and the warrior has to bring it. In Egypt, the best known ancient martial arts empire, Ra, Haru, and Shu are the ideas one should focus on to get to heaven. Not Shu as defined by them. Shu is showing the true spirit of God in the divine order. Bastet and Neith are parts of the atmosphere of the nation. Shu is an empty atmosphere waiting for Ra to transform mankind, including women. They must submit to their husbands and sleep with only one man in the divine order, the only valid way. Well, I'm out of time. That's rather unfortunate. I'll take a picture of this page and just put it at the end.